You walk through life thinking you know who you are. You carry your name, your memories, your habits, your preferences, and you call it a self. But what if that's just the surface? What if, beneath everything you say and do, there's another version of you that you've never dared to meet? A darker version, a wiser version, a version that doesn't care what society thinks, what your parents told you, or what the world wants you to be. A version that hides in silence, waiting, watching, and writing. Carl Jung called that space the unconscious, but not in the way pop psychology describes it. He didn't see it as a storage box for trauma or impulses. He saw it as an entire universe buried under your personality. And in 1913, when Jung broke away from Freud, when he lost all his students, lost his mentors, lost his reputation, and felt his mind slipping into something unexplainable, he didn't run from that darkness. He sat with it. For 6 years, he went to war with his own shadow. He recorded the voices in his head. He painted his dreams in blood-red ink. He spoke with mythological characters. He asked questions that would terrify most people. And the result was the Red Book. A book Jung didn't publish in his lifetime. A book so personal, so profound, so unfiltered, that even after his death, his family kept it hidden for nearly 50 years. It wasn't meant for the world. It wasn't written to explain anything. It was a confrontation with the soul, raw, symbolic, chaotic, beautiful. The Red Book is not something you read. It's something you experience. Every page is like stepping into a mirror and watching your reflection fall apart. You'll meet Philemon, the wise old man who speaks in paradox. You'll walk with Salome, the blind prophetess of your desire. You'll hear the voice of the shadow, not as evil, but as honest. You'll encounter your inner God, and he won't look like what you were taught. This isn't self-help. This isn't feel-good psychology. This is the place your mind doesn't want to go, but your soul needs to. Because deep down, you already know there's something off about the way you've been living. You've been performing, smiling when you don't mean it, agreeing when your intuition screams no, becoming what the world praises while betraying what your soul whispers. And you wonder why you feel empty, why the success doesn't satisfy, why the relationships feel hollow, why the depression keeps returning, why your life feels like a loop instead of a path. The Red Book doesn't give you the answer. It shows you the part of you that's asking the wrong question. Because maybe the point isn't to fix yourself, but to face yourself, to stand in front of the thing you've spent your entire life avoiding. Your own unknown potential. Not the shiny, confident, Instagram-ready version of potential, but the ancient, sacred, terrifying version that Jung uncovered in visions. The one that asks you to sacrifice everything false. And if you dare to open this book, really open it, not with your eyes, but with your soul, you won't be the same person on the other side. You might lose friends. You might break down. You might realize your job, your beliefs, your personality were all masks. But in that collapse, something else is born, something truer, something eternal, something Jung called the self, the union of your light and darkness, the God within that religion forgot, but your soul remembers. And that's why this book is dangerous. Not because it's evil, but because it tells you the one thing the world never wants you to know. You're not who you think you are. You're something far more powerful and far more terrifying. And the only way to remember is to forget who you were told to be. Carl Jung's Red Book isn't a book. It's a ritual. It's a descent. It's the burning of everything false. So what's real can finally emerge. The question is, most people think Carl Jung or keep running psychologist. They read the quotes on Instagram. They throw around words like shadow work, synchronicity, or inner child. But they have no idea what this man really did, what he really saw, what he gave up in order to go where no one dared to go, inside his own soul. The Red Book is not just a journal. It's not a theory. It's not an analysis. It's a descent into the raw material of the psyche, unfiltered, undiagnosed, and unpolished. It's where logic dissolves, where symbols take over, where gods, demons, archetypes, and forgotten fragments of humanity speak in riddles and demand that you listen. This book isn't meant to teach. It's meant to initiate. And Jung knew exactly what he was doing. He was crafting a modern book of revelation. One not written by divine decree, but by personal confrontation. So, what's inside this book? Not case studies, not statistics, not textbook chapters. Inside, you find dreams. Not dreams in the Freudian sense, but mythic dreams, visionary dreams, archetypal dreams. You find dialogues with ancient beings that live inside all of us, but are rarely heard. You find Philemon, Jung's inner guide, who speaks like a prophet, but feels like a memory you forgot you had. You find serpents, shadows, blind prophetesses, dying gods, bleeding hearts, and behind it all, you find you. Not the you who scrolls, not the you who performs, but the part of you that has been watching silently for decades, the part of you that was never allowed to speak. Jung didn't write this to impress anyone. He didn't publish it. He didn't show it to scholars. He barely even showed it to his family. Because the Red Book wasn't meant for the world. It was meant for his soul. He called it the record of his confrontation with the unconscious. But it was more than that. It was a sacred fire, a modern alchemical text, a new kind of scripture, not to worship a god, but to awaken the one within. At the core of this book is a terrifying truth, that your mind isn't yours alone. What you call I, your personality, your style, your voice, is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies the collective unconscious, the place where ancient gods, forgotten myths, and psychological blueprints live. Jung believed that every one of us carries the entire history of the human race inside our psyche. That's why we all dream of falling. That's why we all fear the dark. That's why symbols like snakes, spirals, trees, crosses, and mirrors show up in every culture, every dream, every nightmare, because they were never just symbols. They were portals. And the Red Book opens them. It doesn't explain your trauma. It shows you the structure of the psyche that holds your trauma. It shows you how your pain is connected to ancient patterns, how your anxiety may be the voice of a rejected archetype, how your depression might not be sickness, but a call to descend into the underworld, like every hero in every myth has done before you. This is what Jung uncovered, that the mind is not linear. It's symbolic. That healing doesn't happen by fixing, it happens by integrating. That wholeness is not light. It's the marriage of light and shadow. But here's why this book is truly dangerous. It doesn't let you stay innocent. You can't read the Red Book and keep blaming the world. You can't read it and pretend that all your problems come from outside. You can't read it and stay asleep. Because the deeper you go into it, the more you realize that you are the architect of your own prison. Not consciously, not with malice, but because you were never taught how to face the unknown within you. You were taught to control, to explain, to diagnose, to suppress. But the Red Book doesn't care about control. It cares about truth. And truth, in Jung's world, isn't clean. It's not academic. It's not polite. Truth is symbolic. Truth is chaotic. Truth is terrifying. Truth is a dragon curled up at the bottom of your soul. And the only way to slay it is to let it speak. And this is where the real transformation begins. Not when you understand Jung, not when you memorize his terms, but when you dare to do what he did. When you sit alone in silence and listen. When you write what you hear, even if it makes no sense. When you paint the image in your dream, even if it frightens you. When you let go of analysis and step into the symbolic. That's when the psyche begins to unfold. That's when the archetypes start to move. That's when your dreams stop being noise and start becoming messages. That's when you realize the unconscious is not a place. It's a language. And the Red Book is a dictionary written in fire. This is the truth nobody tells you. Carl Jung's Red Book wasn't about him. It was about you. It was about all of us. Because the psyche Jung entered isn't unique to him. It's the same collective unconscious that's inside every human being. It's the source of your instincts, your fears, your imagination, your God. And Jung didn't ask you to believe in it. He asked you to meet it. So what happens when you ignore this book? What happens when you ignore the unconscious? When you bury the shadow? When you reject the voice that speaks in dreams and demand that life always makes sense? You create a society that looks clean on the outside and is spiritually rotting on the inside. You create people who smile in public but scream in silence. You create systems that reward masks and punish honesty. You create success stories built on suppressed trauma. You create influencers that can't sleep at night. You create citizens who follow rules but don't know why they exist. You create minds that function but don't feel. And then one day, you wake up and realize you're not alive. You're just functioning. And no amount of achievement, relationships, validation, or therapy can fix it. Because the problem isn't outside. It's inside. And you've been avoiding it your whole life. Carl Jung didn't write the Red Book to impress the world. He wrote it because he knew what happens when people refuse to meet their inner world. They become hollow. They become reactive. They become dangerously civilized. Because here's the thing no one tells you. The more you suppress your darkness, the more it owns you. And that ownership doesn't look dramatic. It looks subtle. You procrastinate. You self-sabotage. You get into relationships that break you. You get addicted to things that make you forget. You become what Jung feared most, a person who lives according to the expectations of others, instead of becoming who they truly are. And this isn't just personal. It's collective. You look at history, and every major collapse, every war, every genocide, every cultural breakdown begins the same way. A mass denial of the unconscious, a collective projection of shadow, a refusal to face truth within. So it gets projected onto the other. Carl Jung warned us. He said, "The greatest danger to mankind is the psyche of man himself, because we build weapons before we build self-awareness. We chase power before we confront our fear. We educate the mind before we understand the soul." The Red Book is a warning, not about politics, not about religion, but about what happens when the inner world is ignored for too long. Because when you ignore the voice inside you, it doesn't go away. It finds another way to speak, through breakdown, through dreams, through anxiety, through projection, through destruction. It whispers until it screams. So what now? What do you do with this knowledge? Do you burn the book? Do you scroll away and forget? Or do you sit with the question Jung left behind? Who are you when no one is watching? Who is living underneath the version of you the world sees? Because that's what this book wants to know. It doesn't care about your career. It doesn't care about your image. It doesn't care how many people love you. It cares whether you are real. This isn't a trend. This isn't philosophy for entertainment. This is a mirror that shows you everything you've denied, abandoned, or forgotten. And it's terrifying, because to meet your true self, you have to let parts of you die. But what's born after isn't fragile, isn't fake, isn't empty. It's what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, not perfect, not positive, but whole. And maybe that's what the world is starving for. Not more information, not more productivity, but more wholeness. And that's the final gift of the Red Book. It doesn't promise you happiness. It promises you truth and the courage to face it. Will it change your life? No. It will destroy it, and then show you how to rebuild something real. End section. Closing. CTA. If this shook something inside you, if a part of you feels like it's been waiting to be seen for years, tell me in the comments, what truth have you been hiding from yourself? And are you finally ready to face it? Like, share, and subscribe if you're ready to stop performing and start becoming. And if this video moved you, tap the super. Thanks to support Psychatic, where we turn pain into power. We'll see you in the next descent.